Greetings, Geo Nerds. Welcome to Archerfield. 50 million years ago. Because there's a lot of basalt at Archerfield, and at Runcorn, and at Rochdale, and down at Redland Bay. And we know it's there because when it breaks down, the iron in it turns into beautiful red soil. And this is down at Redland Bay. All it used to be the market gardens of Brisbane. Now it's all been ripped up and turned into houses. And I suppose people got to live somewhere and eat, so whatever. So it's also got beautiful red soil down at Victoria Point. This is actually Torquay Point, but look at the red soil there in the water. It's gorgeous. And this is over at Runcorn. More red soil. Absolutely amazing. And over at Archerfield, we've got a quarry in basalt. Blue metal. Amazing stuff. Let's look more into this because I actually think the maps are wrong. If you dig the vibe, like and subscribe. And you know what I'm going to say? Let's rock.
Rocking with T-Rocks. He's the man. He'll show you what it means. From our mystic shores to outback sands. Rocks, he's your guide to our ancient land.
Well, folks, where are we going today? Well, we come out through the city. We're heading over the old brown snake there, the Brisbane River. Heading over here to Archerfield, hook a bit of a Yui, go over the airfield itself. That red soil at the track there is not from basalt. That's been brought in, but there is basalt underneath all of this. We just went past Carr's quarry there. Across Acacia Ridge, no basalt here, even though the maps say there is. We'll look into that. Getting over into Runcorn now and look at the red soil. That's at Rochdale, Runcorn, and it's basalt all through here. We head up towards Redland Bay, which of course there's more basalt down here. Down here at Torquay Point, just south of Victoria Point, and all up through here is basalt, all of it. And we've talked about this before, this particular bit, so we won't go too far into Redland Bay, but there's hydrocarbons down here. There's coal, there's oil, and there is natural gas. And there's the city right there, there's a Tingalpa Reservoir. So let's get into it. Well, Geo Nerds, this is basalt. When it's running like this, it's called lava. Once it sets under the ground, it's called basalt. But it's what it is, it's olivine basalt from the mantle. So, in Brisbane, we've got quite a bit of this. So on Brisbane's south and east, this is all the basalt. And most of it is about tertiary. So it's up in here in the Eocene, Paleocene. It's covering rocks that are Triassic, not basalt, and also stuff that's Denovian. So this is fairly new in the Brisbane rock scene. Just to be sure, folks, this is not part of the hotspots, the Cosgroves or the other East Coast hotspots. This basalt was here for 20 million years when those hotspots came through. So it's a totally different event. So, folks, here we have the painter's drop sheet of the geology of the south side of Brisbane. I'll bring up the road so you get a feeling of where you are. Just some of the macro features. The purple stuff is the Marinley Fernvale groups with the shales and the schists and the grey wacky. Green, Ipswich coal mesas, all sandstone, but the browns can contain basalt. Some do, and I'll tell you, some don't. And how do we know that? Well, in Brisbane, if you drill a well for water, you have to register it, and the driller has to record the stratigraphy. And these are the registered water bores in that part of town. And I've gone and read a lot of stratigraphy, hundreds of them. Some places definitely contain basalt. And let me tell you, if they hit sandstone, there's no basalt because the sandstone here is 200 million years old. The basalt is only 40 million years old, 50 million years old. It sits on top of the sandstone. So once you hit sandstone, there is no more basalt under that. And also when you're drilling water wells, once you hit water, you don't drill any further either. You're not wasting your customers' money. So let's have a bit of a look at the map that they say where the basalt is and where I reckon the basalt is. Well, folks, just before we do that, let's have a look at this borehole data. So at Runcorn, as you can see, 19 metres down, we're hitting basalt. So there's basalt under Runcorn, we know that. Over here at Capalaba, if we go down 13 metres, not that far, we're on basalt. So we know there's basalt underneath Capalaba. Let's go over here to Birkdale. Well, we go down 23 metres, we're in basalt, and there's hard basalt under that, which is probably where they hit the water on top of that. And why don't we have a look at, let's have a look at Wellington Point, where they used to drill for oil. It's basalt, basalt, basalt. You know, about 15 metres down, it just goes on. And Capalaba, well, this is the king. There we go. Once you get down 4 metres, you're into basalt all the way. They went down to 59 metres. Obviously, they didn't find any water. That's a bit of a shame. But anyway, there's basalt there for sure. So, folks, in the red is the rock that can bear basalt according to the surface geology charts. So what I did was I read hundreds of bore stratigraphy charts, and I thought, well, if the bore guys they're drilling down 50, 100 metres looking for water, they don't hit basalt, it's not there. Because the green is the Ipswich coal measures, that's essentially sandstone. That's 200 million years old. If you hit sandstone, it's over, as I just said. So after my comprehensive analysis, I must have read a couple of hundred of these. It's a bit like cracking bubble wrap, actually. It's pretty interesting. I've come up with this map. And as you can see, it's pretty accurate down in Redland Bay. You've got basalt down there exactly where they say it is. But at Acacia Ridge and at Runcorn and Sunnybound Hills, even though they say there's basalt there, there isn't. There is not one piece of basalt found in any borehole in that area. And I haven't put Archerfield on here because there is definitely basalt at Archerfield. There's a quarry there, and we'll look at that. But yeah, so this is where the basalt is not. Now, this stuff is about 50 million years old. And this event, I believe, is timed to, again, the departure of New Zealand, stretching the crust and causing basalt to come up through our rock all that time ago. Although this doesn't directly correlate with basalt, it's a very cool looking map, so I thought I'd show it to you. This is the magnetics in this area. Now, the colours simply tell you the direction of the magnetic field in those particular rocks, and that tells us where the Earth's magnetic field was when they last froze. So, does it tell us it's basalt, what type of rock it is? No, it doesn't. It doesn't really even tell us the age because the Earth's magnetic field moves around all the time. But it is very cool to look at. And this map is the radioactive isotopes for that area. Potassium, uranium, thorium. Freeze it, pause it, have a look at it. It doesn't tell you much, it just tells you there's quite a bit of thorium at Dunwich, and there's a bit of uranium pretty much everywhere. Well, folks, we've talked about Redland Bay, and here's the red. That volcanic soil is just gorgeous down there. That's Coochie Mudlow in the background. We're going to spend a bit of time on Coochie because the Aboriginal word Coochie means red and Mudlow means rock, so red rocks. So here's the island. You can see over on Vicky Point there, all that brown is basalt. And over on Coochie, there's quite a lot of basalt. And it is quite visible. Here's a bore data. Look at that, 34 for about 20 metres down. It's just all basalt. And you can see the iron staining in all of the residuals over there, the soils. Now this looks like basalt on the bottom here with the beautiful red soil on the top, but it isn't. Here's a better look at it. This looks like basalt. Look at it, just iron stained or whatever, but it isn't. If you look closely, it's actually got little bits of rock in it and shells in it. This is one of those ferrocretes like we saw out at Redcliffe. So Redlands, you know, this is Wellington Point and Birkdale down in front of us there. And what a beautiful part of the world. Doesn't look like that now, that's all houses, but it looked very different about 100 years ago because they were drilling the hell out of this looking for oil and gas. And they found it. Just not enough of it, obviously. Here's the one of the derricks. This is down on the point itself. I got another shot of it here. These are not great photos, obviously, but there it is. They were just drilling and drilling and drilling, and they drilled some serious holes down here. One of them was 3,500 feet deep, which is twice the height of Mount Cootha and a bit. So yeah, they drilled a long way down, and they drilled along the peninsula and back through Birkdale. And one of the holes was right near this. This is the Osprey Tower. Now, if you drive down to Wellington Point, on the point itself, you'll drive past this, and one of the holes was right next to this tower. Well, folks, Archerfield, here we are. This is not a big suburb, Archerfield. There's Carr's Quarry there, early 1900s. Here's one from the ground. This is some video courtesy of our friend John from JelBuilder. Link in the description. Did a real good run around, he did. It's a good shot of Carr's. Here it is when it was operational back in the early 1900s. Beautiful bluestone basalt used for railway ballast, road gravel, etc. There we go. There's a LiDAR. Got our lovely LiDAR there. This is the actual basalt massif down there. And this is actually slightly older than the basalt over at Rochdale and Runcorn by about 2 or 3 million years. Here's the magnetics. For once, it actually tells us something. You can see that green is the magnetic trace of the basalt. Here it is back in the 1980s when they drained it to try and dig out all the buried treasure. And you can see the basalt showing through there on the far side where they were quarrying it. And our friend John kindly climbed up one of the channels that lead out of it where the basalt is exposed and got some beautiful 4K of the basalt. Climbing out there, you can see it. It just looks like basalt. And I'll just take a freeze of it here and zoom in. You can see this is beautiful, fine-grained basalt. Slightly oxidised now because it's probably been exposed to the air for nearly 100 years. But even so, it's still there. And Carr's Quarry, very easy to access. Not the actual hole right there. This is back in the 1980s when it was a bit empty, hadn't rained that much. This is what it's like today. It's a lovely picnic area there. And you can sit there and watch the aeroplanes take off and land at Archerfield. Well, folks, 50 million years ago, for probably quite a few million years, this was Archerfield right through to Redland Bay and, in fact, right up north to Petrie and Redcliffe. And it slowly cooled down and ended up doing this. And then it turned into this, which, of course, we see all around the world. This is actually in Saudi Arabia. But eventually, it turns into this oxidised, beautiful volcanic soil. Now, on the south side of Brisbane, these are the areas that now have the remnants of this event under it, not on it, because it's got soil on top of it. There's red soil all over this place, but this is what's under it. This is where the basalt still is from that event. The Archerfield event's just a little bit older, a few million years older, but very similar in orogeny, I think. So if you like eating stuff like this, and let's face it, who doesn't? No one should, but we all like it. And you like eating these wonderful things, well, you've got to have this red soil because it's farms like this is at Redland Bay, that produce this food, not mega huge, enormous giga farms, and legends like this who actually work these farms, usually from one generation to the other, that produce this sort of stuff that we live on day to day. If you don't want everything being hauled all over Australia in trucks, you've got to have local farms. Brisbane wouldn't have existed without this red soil, without the timber, and it all came from this very unassuming rock. So anyway, I hope this journey hasn't been too boring for you and you learned something, because I certainly did. And you know what I'm going to say. If you dig the vibe, like and subscribe. And, you know, because we're all legendary geo nerds here, we just got to keep rocking, because T-Rocks is out.
That's the artificial horizon, which is better than the actual horizon.
Well, my name is Jim, but most people call me Jim.
Bloody lens. Right,